The one thing that has been destabilizing is the outrageous behavior of the Supreme Court of the United States in overruling not only Roe v. Wade, but essentially challenging the right to privacy. We've been a leader in the world in terms of personal rights and privacy rights, and it is a mistake, in my view, for the Supreme Court to do what it did.
President Biden bashing America on the world stage, attacking the U.S. Supreme Court yesterday at the end of the NATO summit in Madrid. The president on foreign soil accusing the court of, quote, outrageous behavior in its decision overturning Roe v. Wade. Charlie Hurd is the Washington Times opinion editor and a Fox News contributor. We've known each other long enough that I know you've covered several presidents. And the president, Biden, he had 5 days before he went to Madrid in order to, or a couple of days, where he could have said the same thing here in America, but instead he said it over there. And that is, to me, that is unnecessary. He could have said, I disagree with the decision, but our system is the best in the world. But he decided not to.
Yeah, that's a great point. And obviously, you know, and it is important that he really was, and he was frustrating the base in his party by being silent for several days. And like you say, it could have been a lot better. But, you know, when we talk about politics ending at the nation's shore, usually what we're talking about is a president goes overseas and does something stupid or says something stupid or does something awkward. And then people in the United States carp about the president being overseas, and we scold them and say, no, the politics ends at the nation's shores. This is a completely different situation where you have the actual president of the United States on foreign soil trashing the third branch of government at a time when that third branch of government is under unprecedented attack, whether it's justices being picketed at their homes, their children at their schools, or a confessed assassination attempt. It's appalling. I never, every couple of weeks you think, okay, well, it's never going to get weirder or worse than this, and then the next thing happens and you're like, oh my goodness. I hope it can't get worse than this.
I saw Neil Patel wrote about that today in the Daily Caller, that America feels like nothing's working, and people are frustrated. It's still a great country, we know that, but we're frustrated. Mitch McConnell said this about the president yesterday: attacking a core American institution like the Supreme Court from the world stage is below the dignity of the president. Beyond that, President Biden's attacks on the court are unmerited and dangerous, and we know that the president now has opened the door to busting the filibuster for just this issue, but once you break that seal,
yeah,
we know what happened.
Ask Harry Reid how that works out. Among the people that deserve a lot of credit, Mitch McConnell is one. Obviously, Donald Trump is one. George W. Bush is one. But among the people that deserve credit, Harry Reid.
And you know who warned him? At the time, Mitch McConnell said, I would advise you not to do this, but that's ended up what's happening. We're also talking about 2024 already. Yeah. And I mean, it's delicious to talk about. They're already talking about the possible primary of Joe Biden. And there's somebody came on the scene who you might recognize. This is Hillary Clinton out on a book tour. Watch this.
And if he decides to run, he's a sitting president. And,
would you endorse him?
Look, I would endorse our sitting president. Yes, of course. I mean, this is a silly question. So let's go with the person most likely to win. Joe Biden beat in a huge landslide victory in the popular vote Donald Trump. I think that says a lot.
So I thought what the key is there. She said, let's go with the person most likely to win. But in the last 3 weeks, Democrats started anonymously, but now are full-throatedly open shouting from the rooftops that they don't think Biden should run again.
Yeah, I think that they're genuinely worried about exactly that question. Is they're starting to realize that, wait a minute, whether, whoever Republicans put up, Joe Biden is going to have a really hard time beating anybody. But here's the thing that is in his benefit, to his benefit, is that the same dynamics that got him the nomination in 2020 are still in play now. The alternatives are so terrible.
Is she an alternative for them? Do you think the Democrats would actually do that?
I think that you can't do worse than Biden, but it's also interesting where the rest of that clip where she starts talking about how Joe Biden won the popular vote. She's talking about herself. It's all about her talk about grievances. This is a woman who has the deepest grievances, and most of them right now are directed at Donald Trump. And so she, that was more of a shot. That was more about her than it was about anybody else.
So let me ask you something. You're here with your son. You're in New York City. What are your plans for America? And how do you talk to your children about how great America is?
Well, I mean, even New York City, which is kind of actually, as dirty and untidy as it is, it's still, it's a great American city, and it's and it will be better again. I have eternal faith.
Me too. Me too.
In America and in New York.
Charlie Hurt, have a great weekend.
Good to see you.
With your family.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.